So I've been thinking, every day I hear from early childhood educators and leaders about the horrendous documentation overload. I've no doubt you've seen it too on social media forums. Constantly educators are posting and asking, are you expected to take your documentation home? Do you write learning stories at home in your own time? How do you keep up with everything? I feel overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. And what's been forgotten and amongst all of that is the children. And it breaks my heart to see, because it doesn't have to be that way. So for quite some time now, I've been thinking, why has it become this way? And there must be something that we can do to make it better. There must be a better way than what we're doing now. And then last night, as I was listening to Barbara Watson in a live webinar, she absolutely nailed it on the head. Man, she's inspiring. And here's the top 3 things that Barbara talked about that I just know is going to make a difference for every educator and leader.
It is possible, I think, that there are some better ways to make the most of non-contact time that we do have and to create better outcomes for children and for teachers. We all know also the importance of work-life balance. It seems pretty hard to strike in ECE sometimes. And some of this tiredness is caused by the fact that we've created a monster in terms of the expectations we often put on ourselves and on others with regard to writing learning stories and maintaining children's portfolios. We seem to be on a never-ending hamster wheel of documentation and paperwork, not just learning stories, and that all too often sucks the joy out of teaching. So the key here is keeping the focus on what matters most by really prioritizing the things that will improve teachers' teaching and enhance children's learning. So it's important to realize that there's no regulatory requirement to write learning stories.
Wait, did she just say there's no requirement to write learning stories?
The frequency, the depth and the length of assessment is determined entirely by individual organisations. So we've created the monster. It's worthwhile going back to the licensing criteria to see what it says about assessment of children's learning. That we are required to assess and plan for children's learning, but how we do that is up to each individual service. So imagine if teachers had the time to talk to each other, making sense of the children's learning together, documenting collaboratively, and identifying teaching strategies as a team. Imagine if your ways of documenting teaching and learning were quick and efficient, so that you are not always playing catch up with stories that you've got behind on. Imagine if you didn't have to write learning stories or complete all of your professional learning after working hours. Asking yourself how you can make these happen and believing that you can make these changes, putting your plan into action rather than wallowing in the hopelessness and helplessness will support you to reimagine non-contact time in your service.